All right, Boots and Hearts 2024, Alana Springsteen.
Yeah.
Welcome to Boots.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, man. I love Canada. I love the fans out here. Been looking forward to this festival for a while.
Good. I wasn't sure whether you'd had a chance to play in front of a Canadian crowd yet or not.
You know, I have a couple different places. I was actually here in this area with Luke Bryan last year. Did some damage vintage shopping around Toronto. There's great coffee out here. I'm a coffee girl, always running on caffeine and good vibes. So.
Tell me about the vintage shopping. What'd you find?
Dude, I was looking for a Maple Leafs jersey, and I actually ended up finding one to wear that day at the show.
Cool.
So, and I love vintage. These boots are like from a vintage shop in my hometown. I just like finding unique pieces.
I love conversations like this because it really helps us discover what makes people tick. And that to me is always the fascinating part. And when I was doing a little reading on you and learning your story, it's amazing to me if I put my hand over the fact that you're 23 years old and I read everything about you and your resume, and then it'd be shocking. All this by 23.
Thank you, man. It's been, I feel like I've lived a couple lifetimes in the past 2 years. Like, it has been just one milestone moment after another, and I have to take a moment every now and then and think about that like 9-year-old girl that was just dreaming about getting to live this life, just writing songs on her bedroom floor, begging her parents to take her to Nashville. Like, this is all I've ever wanted to do, and the fact that it's given me the ability to travel and connect with people all over the world and write songs, like it's a dream for sure.
Do you often look back at those songs you wrote as a 9-year-old?
I do now and then. I mean, the first song I ever wrote was called Fairy Tale.
Okay.
It was actually about my parents' like love story, how they met. My mom was just talking to me about how they started dating in college and like the things my dad would do to like kind of woo her or whatever. And I was inspired by it. Like, I've always been a little bit of a romantic, and I love love and love writing about it even before I had ever had a boyfriend. Like, I was like, this is it. So that was my first song. And ever since then, like, songwriting has been my therapy. It's been how I get what's in here out and make sense of it all. And the fact that I get to connect with people through it is everything. It's why I love what I do. And, you know, we kind of just realize we're not alone. Like, no matter what we're feeling, like, even if it feels heavy and deep and like we're the only one, you never are. Like, we're all going through the same things.
Yeah, I'm jumping around a little bit here because I wanted to get to the notion. I think you were 10 years old and you're at the Opry and you see Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
And here you are out in support of Luke Bryan on tour this fall.
Yeah, it's wild. I remember that little 9-year-old girl begging her parents to take her to Nashville. They did. It was the first time when I was 10 years old and I wanted to go to the Grand Ole Opry, obviously like country music royalty. I was like, I gotta see this place. Sat on the stage in those pews, and when that curtain lifted and Luke came out, and just like the way he engaged with the crowd and connected with his fans, like, it just lit me up. My dad had a video camera on me, and he was like, I looked at the camera and I was like, I'm gonna be there one day. Like, just with all the confidence in my eyes, looked at him and said that. Fast forward, Luke heard that story, and when I found out I was getting to make my Grand Ole Opry debut, it was Luke that gave me the news. He FaceTimed me out of the blue and was like, Alana, I heard this story, and like, I'm just so proud of you and inspired, and I wanted to tell you you're making your Grand Ole Opry debut on your birthday, October 18th. So it was just so many full circle moments in that day. I also announced my record deal that day too. So it was just all these really cool moments wrapped into one.
Wild. And then 14 years old, you get your publishing deal?
Yeah, that's right.
14?
14.
That's like Taylor Swift type of stuff, isn't it?
You know, it's funny you mentioned her. I feel like there are a lot of parallels like with us too. And I think she was somebody that I looked up to from such an early age because of that. Like, she was writing songs and singing about my life. And I'm just so grateful to have had people like her, people like Shania Twain, Carrie Underwood, Faith Hill, like these girls that came before and paved the way. Like, feel like to be a woman in country music is a really exciting thing right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm thrilled about it too. You know, I was just talking here off camera, just chatting with people about the fact it's going to be so great when we get to see in the biggest writing on the Boots and Hearts, when, you know, your name probably in a few years.
Let's go. Say less. I'm in.
Yeah. So let's talk about the new record.
Yeah.
And it's almost with hesitancy that I say new record because it seems like such a bigger project than just a record. 3 installments on 20-something.
Yeah.
And the deluxe edition, of course, has got
extra songs.
Extra songs.
Got to.
Makes some sense.
Yeah.
So tell us about the 3 installments and how they flow.
Yeah. So 20 something was my debut album. My whole life I've dreamt about getting to make an album. Like I had released little EPs and songs one at a time, but there's a different weight when you release your first record. And the past couple of years, I've just been early in my 20s, going through a lot of changes as you do, like really getting to know myself. I came off of 2 really terrible relationships, just falling for the wrong people, not trusting my gut. And I think for the first time, I really looked at myself and I was like, okay, who am I? Who am I when I'm not in relation to anybody else? And I started to do that work and uncover those things. And I did it in the form of writing. So the first part of the record, like you mentioned, was Messing It Up. Messing It Up. Talking about those relationships, how I kind of failed at love and the ways things went wrong. And then we got into the figuring it out stage of the record, which is when I did some of that really personal, like heart work, writing songs like Chameleon, which is about how I've been a people pleaser and kind of tend to shape shift to please people around me. Songs like When We Were Friends, which is about a different kind of heartbreak when you grow apart from people that used to be really close to you and kind of the guilt you can feel with that. Just a lot of heart songs. And then we ended the record on a positive note with Getting It Right, because in the midst of all that, like I have had some of the most incredible moments happen over the past 2 years, and it's been a lot of highs. And that was kind of a chance to reflect on all of that. There's a song called X's on the Getting It Right portion of the album, and it's called X's, but it's really about my fans. It's about realizing that without those relationships, without going through those things, I never would have found this community and been able to connect with so many people through that experience. So it was important to me to take fans with me along that journey and paint that picture. And that came out in the live shows too. When we did the headline tour, we went on that journey and we started with Messing It Up and figuring it out and getting it right. And I hope people listening to it have the courage to go on that journey for themselves. I think it's the most important thing you can do, just to learn to chase the most honest, authentic version of you.
Well, and it feels like you're helping blaze the path, through the material you create.
Oh, I hope so.
And you're a great example of it. So one of the songs that really caught my ear is the collab with Stapleton, Ghost in the Guitar. Yeah. And this might be the craziest question I ever ask in an interview. Tell me what Chris Stapleton brings to the table in that little...
Woo, are you kidding me? Man. I wrote Ghost in My Guitar out in LA, actually, and we wrote it rooted around this guitar lick that represents kind of the ghost of my ex, or the ghost of these feelings that are just lingering that you can't get rid of. There's been so many times where I'm like, oh, I've written that out of my system. And then sure enough, I get in the writing room and it comes back out again. And that's kind of where I found myself. And instead of it being a duet between me and another vocalist, it's a duet between me and this guitar, and kind of just a conversation back and forth. So after I wrote the song, I knew I wanted somebody really specific to play it, to kind of bring the personality, bring what it needed. So fast forward, I got to play Crash My Playa with Luke Bryan, his crazy festival. And the night that I played, Chris Stapleton headlined. And I'll never forget, like, being side stage, just watching the show. My first time seeing him live, he picked up that guitar and started playing. And I was like, oh my God, that is it. Like, it had all the haunting, like, yearning, anxious energy to it that I felt like the song needed. And he just has a way of emoting through that instrument the same way he does with his vocal.
Right.
There's very few people that have that kind of fingerprint, like, on their musical choices. And he is that guy. So I was like, this is such a long shot, but we got to send it to him. Like, there's no plan B. It's got to be Chris.
It's got to be him.
It's got to be Chris. So we sent it to him, and he heard the song, and a testament to how incredible the country music community is, because he believed in it enough to take a chance on an up and coming artist and be
love it.
I love this song. I love this girl. I want to be a part of it. So he just brought that personality. Like, he really gave that guitar part a life of its own, and it ended up carrying the weight of another vocal in that song.
Amazing, and I'm glad you used the word haunting, because that's exactly what I felt when I heard the song. Haunting.
Yep.
Very good. Alana Springsteen's going to hit the big stage here at Boots and Hearts soon.
Coming up soon, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Where do people find you on socials?
Alana Springsteen on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. Just my name, put it in. I love getting to connect with you guys through socials and commenting in DMs. Like the stories I hear just from fans there is really special. So
when our fans, when they get their hands on your record and they're hearing it for the first time, of course you want them to play everything start to finish. Yeah. But what's that one song that you would tell them to fast forward to?
Oh man, maybe Amen. That's the song that comes to mind first, just because I put it as track number 18, which is my lucky number.
All right.
I put it as track number 18 on the album because after all the messing it up, figuring it out, and getting it right, that's kind of where I've ended up. And I mentioned this earlier, but the thing that I've learned is that the only thing in this life worth chasing is the most honest, authentic version of yourself always. And that song was a really hard one to write just because it was a lot of feelings and emotions that scared me, things I was scared to say. And what I've realized is that when I'm scared to say it, there are a lot of people out there that are also scared to say it. So listen to that song and hopefully you find a piece of yourself in it and find a little bit of courage to just go on that journey that I did.
Well, like I said at the outset, it's amazing what you've done at the age of 23. It's unbelievable to me. It sounds like most people's career already.
Oh, gosh. Well, we got a long way to go. We just getting started.
That's right. And it's going to be great to have a front row seat for the next 23 years. Alana Springsteen, welcome to Canada, and thanks for this.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.